K5. It's a 300-pound police robot that looks like R2-D2 that can detect abnormal noise and temperature change or known criminals. It will alert local authorities. Malls, sporting arenas, communities everywhere is getting robots.
No way. It kinda looks like a Dalek from Doctor Who.
The all-seeing mobile robots will wirelessly connect to a centralized data server where authorities will have access to big data, making it possible to recognize faces, license plates, and other suspicious anomalies. You know, big data. Your Facebook, Tinder, conversations, banking history, credit purchase history.
That sounds like a Dalek to me.
Have you ever heard of Stingray technology or Hailstorm?
No.
Boy, you need to tune into Kriston T. Harris. That's how I feed my brain.
Well, McDonald's may be spending a bit more of your time and getting your burger ready. Starting next year, the nation's largest food chain will be switching to fresh beef for its quarter-pounder burger. This is the chain's latest effort to win back customers.
That McDonald's burger you had yesterday? It wasn't just beef. There's a hidden ingredient they slip in, and most people have no idea what it's really doing in their food. When you bite into a chicken McNugget, you're probably thinking chicken, right? These golden nuggets are almost half breading and other stuff that definitely didn't come from a chicken coop. The ground chicken gets mixed with all those fillers, then molded into those familiar nugget forms. It's like chicken Play-Doh, except you eat it. And while we're talking about what's really in your nuggets, wait until you hear what McDonald's does with their burger patties.
People like McDonald's, I'm going, In fact, they use downer cows. I don't know if you know what a downer cow. I used to work on farms in New Zealand. You know, my first business was, the modern farm system is so bad for animals, okay? That milk cow specifically, they push them so hard to produce milk, the cow just basically starts, it's almost like fainting. They can't stand up. Their bottom legs come out from under them. And you call them downer cows. So eventually you have to, they with a bolt. And McDonald's, you getting that downer cow, boy.
So I was curious the other day and found this online. McDonald's sells 6.5 million burgers in one single day. That's 195 million burgers a month. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't see cows lined up around every corner waiting to be turned into patties. I mean, seriously, do the math. Even if you stretched one cow into a bunch of burgers, you're still talking millions of cows just to keep up. Every day. So I started asking myself, where are all these cows coming from? Is there some secret super ranch hidden underground? Are they growing cows in labs, cloning meat behind closed doors? People laugh it off, but think, when was the last time you even saw a cow farm big enough to supply this madness? And don't say imported beef, because even globally, the numbers don't add up smooth. And look, I'm not saying it ain't real meat. I'm just asking the question no one wants to. What the hell are we eating? Because if it ain't cows, then what is it? Remember, I'm not insinuating anything. I am simply asking a question.
McDonald's serves, this is where I want you to do your own critical thinking on this, and don't immediately reject it, just let it sink in for a second. McDonald's serves 69 million people a day. How many farms have you passed where there would be enough beef lining up for slaughter for that number to match feeding 69 million people a day?
Yeah, because they kind of like advertise. They're like, yeah, we serve, and it's on their sign, we serve this many million burgers a day.
Oh, it doesn't say burgers, it says people.
People.
It literally says,
oh my God,
we serve this many people per day.
And to us, I've always said that
like, oh, they're serving the people.
Ew.
No, they're serving people.
But when you think, okay, let's think about it. There's not enough. Why have I not thought about this before?
There's not enough beef being processed. And this has been confirmed by farmers. That's 69 million people a day.
In 2012, McDonald's was caught using a product called ammoniated beef. Essentially, beef scraps and fatty tissue treated with ammonia gas to kill bacteria. They called it lean, finely textured beef. Everyone else called it pink slime. The FDA approved it. The USDA approved it. Schools were serving it to children. Jamie Oliver exposed it on television. McDonald's dropped it within weeks. Not because the FDA made them, because the public found out. Here is what they did not drop. Tertiary butyl hydroquinone, a petroleum-derived chemical used to preserve chicken nuggets. The FDA allows up to 0.02% per pound. Studies show it causes vision disturbances and liver enlargement in animals at higher doses. Propylene glycol, an ingredient in antifreeze, FDA approved in food at certain levels, found in fast food products across the industry.
This is Alcor's patient care bay. This is where we have all our patients stored, currently 199 humans, plus almost 100 pets. So they're not really dead, they're just legally dead. They're not biologically dead, obviously, because you can donate all kinds of organs that are still viable and keep other people alive. It just means that something critical has failed that we can't fix today. We come at the stage where doctors today have given up, where today's medicine and technology is not sufficient to keep you going. But we're saying, instead of just disposing of the patient, give them to us, we're going to stabilize them, stop them getting worse, and hold them for as long as it takes for technology to catch up and allow them to come back to life and continue living. So each patient is wrapped first of all in a sleeping bag to protect them in case we have to move them to soak up liquid nitrogen. Then they're put inside this aluminum pod where they're secured in there, so they have mechanical protection. And then they're secured in these. So these things being made of aluminum are very good temperature conductors. They're very much like people in a long-term coma, except there's no metabolism. So to them, no time is passing. They're not alive.
There are hundreds of people being cloned in underground facilities in Australia and in some parts of the United States. They can make a George Norrie in about 8 years from baby to you.
Okay.
The problem is the brain cannot grow that fast as the body can.
What happens to the human soul in this kind of situation? Does the clone have a separate soul? We've all heard about cloning.
If you could clone a person that didn't have sentience, right? And you could clone effectively a human body and then do tests on that human body that are more extreme and less ethical than what you would do to a normal human being, right? So you're able to 3D print a human body and then do tests on it and then evaluate things through AI and other types of machine learning. I feel like this would just be a universal W for everybody, right?
Probably gonna die for this somewhere along the lines. It's not good. Okay. Picture this, I'm memory repressed about everything. Couldn't remember anything. I'm still getting side effects from this. I was memory repressed about the cloning stuff until I was 30 years old. They call it the awakening when they give you back the memories. Turns out they had me there since I was 5 years old, okay? And my family is there, my family members and everything. And they said they're not going to lie on a lie detector test about it. It's pretty big. Like, they were going to kill me, they said. Thing is, the way that this cloning works, okay, there's two different kinds of cloning, and it confuses people. Now, there's replication cloning, where it comes up as a baby, right? Put the cells in and make the same person as a baby. Well, there's duplication cloning as well, where they grow you in a big, thick tank full of water. And, well, there's a few different grades of cloning. There's Mark 1 to 4 that I know of. And the problem I'm having is with the Mark 2. The thing is, Mark 1 was around at the end of the World War II, but it was a primitive clone, lots of side effects. Anyway, this is even on the net. Before I started blasting on the net about this, somebody said something about the Mark 1.
The things that we found in other Air Force documents, one in particular was a document put together in '82. The document was called Low Intensity Conflict in Modern Technology, with a foreword by none other than Newt Gingrich. One section spoke about using radio frequency radiation transmitters for disrupting human thinking, for basically debilitating troops invisibly by being able to bombard them with radio frequency that was tuned to just the right frequency, in just the right waveform, so as to totally disrupt their mental process and basically debilitate those troops.
In 1993, the FAA started warning pilots to stay away from a certain section of airspace over Alaska. The U.S. government was experimenting with a new breed of high-altitude electronic technology that was significantly altering the Alaskan airspace. The experiments continue to this day, and critics are warning that this project could have global effects that will destroy our planet. In Alaska, the rugged, pristine wilderness is timeless.
HAARP could manipulate the atmosphere.
So what we've done is we've got a cloud generator up here. It's an ultrasonic nebulizer. It's going to create real water particles, just like you would find in a cloud. What we're seeing now is we're actually filling this chamber with microscopic water particles. You can see that it's almost completely filled with water vapor. It's beginning to condense a little bit on the sides, just so that you can see the detail. We've got a nice dense fog, just like you were sitting inside a cloud at 50,000 feet.
At the bottom of the cloud chamber, Dr. Agnew has constructed an ELF wave transmitter, a miniature version of HAARP.
We're only using 100 watts. It's perfectly safe.
When Dr. Agnew turns on the ELF wave transmitter and begins shooting ELF...
And because of this administration, we are tonight a world divided. We are a nation becalmed. We have lost the brisk pace of diversity and the genius of individual creativity. We are plodding along at a pace set by centralized planning, red tape, rules without responsibility, and regimentation without recourse.
Madam Speaker, I have a few questions for my colleagues. What if our foreign policy of the past century is deeply flawed and has not served our national security interests? What if we wake up one day and realize that the terrorist threat is a predictable consequence of our meddling in the affairs of others and has nothing to do with us being free and prosperous?
To be fair, we had helped to create the problem we're now fighting. How? Because when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, we had this brilliant idea that we were going to come to Pakistan and create a force of mujahideen, equip them with Stinger missiles and everything else to go after the Soviets inside Afghanistan.
Promised of being one of the most effective treatments for AIDS and cancer in history. Now it's gone, and one of the most respected research facilities in the country is being blamed.
Participation in a process that validates an establishment that never meaningfully changes. What if that establishment doesn't want and doesn't have the consent of the governed? What if the two-party system was actually a mechanism used to limit so-called public opinion? What if there were more than two sides to every issue, but the two parties wanted to box you into a corner, one of their corners?
Censored by the mainstream media, the destroyer of fake news, and your host of the Rundown Live, Kriston T. Harris.
Welcome to another broadcast of The Rundown Live, rundownlive.com. We are broadcasting live on groundzeroplus.com, the new home to The Rundown Live. You can get our radio broadcast syndicated right to your cell phone. Download the app today. On air, Disclosure Talk Radio. Find it in the Google Play iTunes Store. You can also follow us on fringeit.co. It's a new social media platform for like-minded people who are searching for truth. And if you've tuned in to the beginning part of the show, which you should never miss, you guys have an idea of what we will be talking about today. We are going to be getting a little weird. Yes, this kind of weird right here. We're talking Weird Al weird. Oh, you're going to eat it. Oh, yeah, here it comes. Oh, yeah. What are you eating? What's in the burger that you're eating, young man? Everyone wants to know what's in the McDonald's burger. There are viral videos going on all over the place discussing, what's in McDonald's burgers. Do we believe that there is human DNA in McDonald's burgers? And I have to ask, where's the proof? You think somebody would send it to a science lab and they would test positive for human DNA, and then all of a sudden, bam, there'd be a huge lawsuit, right? We'd all be making money. So, I've decided to put it on myself that I'm going to attempt to buy a couple quarter pounders. I'm going to get those mofos sent in, and I'm going to get the DNA tested to find out what's in a McDonald's burger. That being said, there's a couple of myths I want to clear on today's broadcast. But the first thing is, I want to tell you that I don't buy that there's human like a substantial amount of human DNA in the meat. Now, I understand with the recent revelations surrounding the Epstein files and cannibalism that there's an elite group of 8,500 people that want you to eat the babies because baby tastes best, according to Snowpiercer, the movie. That's propaganda put in horror movies. Have you ever seen the movie Snowpiercer? It's like a world has been destroyed by global cooling, not warming, but cooling, and people are surviving on the train, and the people in the back caboose used to have to eat each other in order to stay alive. And then while everyone is partying, the further you get up to the front of the train, the better that the ecosystems are on the different train booths. It's a crazy movie, man. It's crazy. It's right up there with Soylent Green, where Soylent Green is people. Do I think it's possible that there's human DNA in the McDonald's burgers? Sure. But I'm going to take this a whole different way than a lot of people think. I want to talk to you a little bit about this. And this, what I mean by this is the idea of cloned cows. You're like, what? Okay, so it has to be human meat. But before we go into the human meat, which I'm not buying entirely, so much so that I want to clear it up, I'm going to go ahead and spend some money, and I'm going to find out if there's human meat in these burgers we're eating. And in fact, I don't eat McDonald's. You shouldn't eat McDonald's. 100% terrible for you. I do not condone eating McDonald's. Have I had a burger? Absolutely. I'm sure we all remember having some Mickey D's at some point in our lives. But let's put this on the screen here for you. And we're going to talk a lot of statistics on this broadcast because I'm really sick of the fake news. It was interesting. Yesterday, I was on the AM Wake Up Show with Steve and Ryan from the Last American Vagabond. And he wanted to talk about statistics and facts, and I thought it would be important to bring you guys up some facts. So let's get into it. Here it is. Canada proposes foods derived from cloned cows. Not just cloned cows, pigs, and they should no longer be regulated as novel. Oh, okay. So we're going to just clone the cows. I think this is a more realistic example of something that is going on, right? I could see McDonald's driving their meat offshores in nations where they don't have the regulations, and they're shipping it here when it's already made in a patty, and we're still eating the cows, but we're eating clone cows, whatever that is. Clone cows. Do you want a clone cow? Probably not. You want the real McCoy, right? Just like you wouldn't want to date a imitation version of Kristan Tiers, you'd want the real McCoy. So we're going to go ahead and show you guys right here on the screen. Here it is. Big news article. And this isn't the only one. There are lots of news articles right now about cloned animals and cloned food. We're not just talking about, 3D printed food, but I guess it could go that way, right? You just bypass killing a clone cow, just grow the meat in the lab like Ben Zion did with his human flesh. And if you haven't heard the story about Ben Zion burgers, maybe we should talk a little bit about that. Or Bite Labs, where Kanye salami, where they're taking skin cells of people's celebrities' bodies and they're trying to make salami out of them. For the cannibals who are ball worshippers. There's only 8,500 of them, but they think that you should all have and try the cuisine that they like to call human. And that was a real thing for a while. They were trying to solicit celebrities to get people to make it cool to eat their meat. I was joking that we'd have like an Aaron Rodgers brat at the Green Bay Packers game, a Brett Favre burger. He used to have Brett Favre Steakhouse. But the conspiracy comes with the McDonald's in many shapes and forms because of their terminology, because of the current conspiracy culture we live in. People just want to believe that everything is much worse than it really is. And it could be. I'm not saying that things could be much worse in many shapes and forms, but I'm not thinking that the McDonald's burger is one of them. And I'm going to tell you why. So I ran through Grok some statistics, right? I had some conversations with Grok, and I kind of wanted to find out what was going on as far as how much burgers and how many burgers were being made every year. Basically finding out all the statistics I could. And a couple of things. The average cow creates between 400 and 500 pounds of burger meat. And they kill on average 850,000 cows a day to supplement the whole world, right, with burgers. Because a lot of people just say McDonald's, but you have Burger King, you got Wendy's, you got Taco Bell, you got all these different fast food chains out there, right? So where are they getting all their beef from, and how much beef is in it? And I thought this was a very interesting question. So I went to Grok and I was like, Grok, figure this out for me. I need to know, how many burgers basically are made with burger meat, all that other stuff. And basically I started doing the math, right? So 850, okay, so let's ask Grok, how many pounds of burger meat are consumed daily? So according to Grok, and I have to apologize because for some reason Grok erased all my research when I was talking about this. I had it all set up. I wanted to show you guys. And it's like, oh, Grok is under heavy usage right now. And so it's hard to use and it's not remembering anything I published. And even in any of my earlier searches, which is, it's different. It's interesting. But as you know, the idea of clone meat, that's something that's happening, right? We know that. We also know that there's a chance of cloned humans. And I want you guys to think about cloned humans as well, because we are learning that there could be, okay, Grok is just down right now. There could be a lot of different things going on in the cloning network, just because they're cloning animals, right? In Japan, it says Japanese scientists have bred a clone bull. They have cloned a bull. They want the cloned animals because then they could go ahead and perfect cattle breeding. That's also in the news. So this kind of shows you, we want to talk about how great AI is and how much we depend on it. This is where AI has failed us. All my research is just cleared out because Grok crashed. It says a burger meat is consumed over 20, total beef consumption is around 28 to 29 billion pounds annually. 28 to 29 billion pounds annually. That's how much burger meat is made in a year. And a lot of people are like, I don't see the cattle farms. Oh, maybe they could be making the cattle in the lab. They could be doing that. They could be doing in other countries, right? People are like, oh, they only source it in America. I don't buy it. It's not the only place. When I worked with McDonald's, we knew that the company was called 100% beef, but the beef wasn't 100%, if you know what I'm saying. So 850,000, if we do a calculator, if I do 850,000, right? 850,000 cattle killed a day times, let's say, we'll go on the high end, 500 pounds of cattle, of burger meat per cattle. That's 425 million pounds of burger meat a day. 425 million pounds of burger meat a day. Now, if we go ahead and we multiply that, right? We take those numbers, 425, and we're going to take it, let's say 365 days a year. I'm sure some days there's more meat, some days there isn't. It's 155 billion pounds of burger meat is consumed based on Grok's. And that's just not just burgers, right? That's tacos. That's probably steak or other types of burger meat that the things you use burger meat for. Just think about when you go to your favorite restaurant for a good burger. You got Burger King. You got all these places out there. So 155 billion pounds a year of cattle meat is provided. So a total beef consumption is 29 billion. So that leaves us with about 120 billion of excess burger meat. That's going to be your taco meat you bring home. That's going to be your Taco Bell, your Taco John's. That's going to be your ground chuck, amongst other things, I'm sure. So there's plenty of beef going around. The question is where is it coming from? And you'll see it because people will only use an American production of beef. I can tell you that not all the beef comes from America. And that's interesting. The idea that, AI is creating a lot of chaos out there. Artificial intelligence, how do you even know what is true anymore? McDonald's consumes over 6 million pounds of beef daily, it says. So let's see about that math. 6 million pounds of beef daily. 6 million pounds times 365. We're just doing simple math is 2.1 billion. So 155 billion is created. McDonald's uses 2.1 billion pounds of meat. That's if you went globally. And I'm sure that the numbers get smaller and smaller once you start to dissect it. So this whole conspiracy, this whole BS about, McDonald's, there's not enough meat going around. It's made of humans. It's probably not. If anything, it could be cloned cows. If anything. That's not to mention human cloning. That's not to mention, here we go. We'll put this on the screen for you guys to bite into. Here it is in India. Birth of India's first cloned cattle and analysis of its health and reproductive status. A case study. Oh, okay. So we're going to be cloning cows. We're going to be getting our meat from cloned cows. This is synthetic biology. If you've not got familiar with the term synthetic biology, you should, because synthetic biology is essentially what we would call man-made biology. Man-made biology is something that is made in a lab and that you essentially create as if you were God. It's not something that is a cow. It isn't birthed by a cow. They take the DNA of a cow and they make it grow in the lab and then they serve it to you as lab-grown meat. It's still about beef, right? Technically, it's 100% beef, but it doesn't come from a cow. It comes from a science lab. And I remember, maybe it was a couple years ago, there was a website called Biohack. Biohack is no longer around. There's some screenshots of it, I'm sure. But there was a guy that ran for the Transhumanist Party. His name was Ben Zion. And he was taking his skin cells from his mouth, growing his own meat and eating himself. Because, he wanted to save the plants and the animals. He's a vegan, but now he's just eating himself. That's a real story. In fact, it's been pulled off the interweb. You can, if you don't believe me, Google it. So I met Ben Zion. Ben Zion's a decent person, right? I don't want to knock him. I think he might have, he was trying to be the first of something. If you ask me, it's a very immature thing to do. Why would you do that with science? Who knows what kind of implications it has? Cannibalism makes you go crazy. It makes you addicted to human meat. And from what we're reading in the Epstein files, it makes you, turn into a monster per se. Birth of India's first cloned cattle, analysis of its health and reproductive status in the case studies. You can look up these case studies. They are all over the place. But this isn't even touching the base of how close this is getting to being on our plate if it is not there already. Why wouldn't they do this already? Here it is. Cloned meat is quietly getting closer to being sold in Canada, but people may not know that they're buying it. What do you mean if it's, so they're saying that people will have no clue that they're actually buying cloned meat. I'm saying that there's a chance that they're already eating cloned meat. Cloned meat could be coming to a grocery store near you, whether you're receptive to the technology or not. You may be none the wiser from looking at the package. Health Canada has made moves to lift restrictions on meat from cloned cattle, pigs, no longer considering it a novel food, meaning it could be commercialized without notification or labeling. Give me some of those cloned cows. We're going to eat some cloned cows and cloned bacon. That cloned pork belly is best with some, artificial fake maple syrup from your fake synthetic lab-grown tree that's built like a table and leaks maple syrup off the side. I mean, that's where they're going. Have you heard about lab-grown wood? I mean, that's all synthetic biology. This whole subject is very fascinating, and if you haven't looked into synthetic biology, but at the end of the day, they just want you to eat it. And the reason why I played Weird Al in the beginning, because today is the day his song Eat It hit the charts at 59, and it just was appropriate that people are concerned about about what's in their food, and they should be. I'm just saying it's most likely not human. People want to be alarmist. AI is out there. We have people coming out, they understand the occultism and they want to get you to eat the human meat. I'm sure that there's some sick fuck out there. It's like, yeah, eat the baby. I'm telling you, there's somebody out there and it's a big hoodwink. That's what we believe in. That's our religion. We had that video yesterday of John Todd talking about, ritualistic abuse and how, they couldn't get demons into Christians' homes because the Christians are protected by God unless they asked the demon to come in. And how would they do that? The execs of his company, which was Zodiac Productions, and by the way, I don't think it was Capitol Records. I said Capitol, I might have been wrong. It's Columbia Records, it's RCA, all these other brands. They would take the records up to the temple, as they would call it, and they would cast evil spells and conjure demons and have them follow the record and each imprint of the record into the homes, and then it would cause the children to be rebellious and it wasn't the children that they were targeting, it was the parents that they were targeting because the parents are responsible for the kids. And it was very interesting because you don't think it's any different with the meat. If you got cannibals that are out there like, we're going to eat the meat. It's a possibility. I'm not saying it's happening, though. I'm not sold on it. But clone meat? Oh, yeah. I think that's a definite possibility. Look at that. Who wants to get their teeth sunk right into that juicy meat? Right there. I see people getting in the chat. If you guys want to drop some comments in the chat, you can. But this subject is crazy, and I think it's something that's not going away. But the other question is like the one step further is cloning humans. We saw that in the Epstein files. And we've heard in the previews to the show that there's claims of cloning going on in Australia where there might not be the regulations, and right here in the United States. Takes 8 years to bring a clone up to adulthood, but the brain doesn't form right, is what they say. That's what the guy was saying. I don't know if it's true. It could be a whole bunch of bullshit. Can't even say the guy's credible, right? I know he's been on with David Wilcox, and David Wilcox was selling some QAnon bullshit. He's probably hanging out with Epstein. I'm not saying David Wilcox was. He's just a little weird, right? He's like David Spade, on some kind of psychedelic drugs. Just saying. But here it is in the New Scientist. This isn't even made up, right? We're going to go ahead and do this like this. We are pulling up this article right now. This is the New Scientist, and I want you guys to see this story because I don't want you guys to think I'm full of trash here. This is what's going on. Could the super rich be cloning themselves, and why would they? Of course they're cloning themselves. Why wouldn't you? This is December 4th, 2025. This is just a few months ago. This is before the Epstein files even hit. In fact, this is a month before the Epstein files even hit. Nearly 3 decades since the remarkable cloning of Dolly the sheep, it has all gone quiet on the human cloning front. So probably for 30 years, they've already been cloning humans. They're like, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's clone people. Why? You can swap out your liver like an oil change. You can swipe out your heart like an oil change. It's a perfect genetic makeup. It will match perfectly, and you aren't going to have a problem whatsoever if you need a transplant of some sort. Daniel E. Twit in the chat says this: the greatest goal mission of evil is the greatest corruption of innocent. Who said something like that? No, I want you to know. Think about that. The greatest goal mission of evil is the greatest corruption of innocence, which is always children at the end of the day, right? It's always children. I think I'm a clone now. I can stay at home while I'm out of town. You can send yourself out for pizza. Like, what would you do with a clone? Like, can you do the laundry for me while I'm at work? You can have 2 jobs, right? Like, I'm just saying, why would you clone yourself? Give you 2 places at once. You could have 2 Joe Bidens. You could kill one and just replace it with a different one that's programmed differently. Man, I'm just beside myself. Oh, another clone joke. We can just keep laying them on all day. We're on fire right now. But reproductive technologies have advanced massively since the 1990s. Most notably, the first gene-edited children were created illegally. 6 years ago. So if you believe that I got some like swampland that's worth a lot of money down in Florida for you, and it's worth a couple million, but I'll give it to you for $1 million, and we'll just keep the Rundown Live going. But yeah, so they've probably been cloning for a long time. The technology's probably been there. Where did we get to technology? Some people believe some more conspiracies and right. You believe one conspiracy and it takes you down this rabbit hole of a whole bunch of other crazy bullshit that's going on. Epstein, was it Britney Spears cloning? We have the whole Jim Carrey cloning thing. I think those all stand up there, and that there's some realistic, interesting things in the Epstein files about cloning. And I believe the elite would be cloning themselves for extension of life through organ transplants, which is right here, which is mentioned in the New Scientist just a couple months ago. The goal of therapeutic cloning. What, you're going to have a clone just rub your back the whole time? I need some therapy. No, it's for other probably skin therapy and other things to try to, fix things. What about cloning for babies, right? They'll take your DNA and they'll create a baby, a designer baby in the artificial womb facility. They're going to take your DNA and grow it in a pod. They like those pods, right? Ever since the Matrix, everything is a pod. And as you know, they're already cloning animals. You can get your dog and cat cloned for $10,000 or $20,000. Oh, by the way, most recently, former NFL star Tom Brady reportedly revealed his dog is a clone. Oh, Tom Brady's having his dog cloned. Acquired by Colossal Biosciences. Let's go visit Colossal Biosciences. What is Colossal Biosciences? And I'm going to tell you, this is where we're going with things. People are going to just get their animals cloned. They'll have an awesome cat. They'll love the personality. Why not just clone it? Oh, look they actually own Colossal.com. Okay, let's put this on the screen for you guys so you guys don't think I'm crazy. Colossal Laboratories and Bioscientists. Oh, look at how cool this is. There's the attractive little wolf-like dog. Oh, science of genetics, the business of discovery. Here we have it, guys. De-extinction. Yeah, let's bring back. Can I get a T-Rex pet? I want a T-Rex. Who doesn't want a Tyrannosaurus Rex? But I want it small, though. I want T-Rex to be like an ankle nibbler. I don't want it to be like the full size, like Jurassic Park, right? Can I have baby T-Rex? Can they do that? I'm sure they can. Stump their... I mean, if this is where they're at, where they can clone things. Oh, look at woolly mammoth is on the list. The dire wolf. The dodo. Okay. They're working on some species and trying to bring them back. They're going to make a better world by it, it says. Ooh, let's see, species index. Let's look at the woolly mammoth. All of a sudden, somebody's going to be in, like, Antarctica. They're going to be like, oh, there's a woolly mammoth. They're still alive. And they're like, nope, it's a cloned woolly mammoth. You just don't know. The Earth's old friend and new hero. Maybe the Salt Lake City, the Utah Mammoth need a mascot, and they're going to get Colossal there to sponsor them, and they're going to go to Colossal Stadium, and then they're going to have their first mascot, the woolly mammoth, made in a designer baby lab. The vital defender of the earth, they say. 5 core goals for reviving the mammoth. Oh, they're going to revive. They're bringing back the woolly mammoth. Mr. Snuffleupagus. They're bringing them back. Yay. And they go and they break down the science and technology. But why wouldn't you just clone the cows and bring in the meat? I'm telling you that's probably what's happening. I'm telling you that there is probably human cloning going on. If you're a billionaire, millionaire. In fact, it's weird that none of the old evil people ever die from cancer. Steve Jobs had cancer, but I think he had a really unique, rare kind. But you have like Henry Kissinger, who died at 100. David Rockefeller died in his late 90s, I believe. You got Zygmunt Brzezinski. It seems like evil is forever. They know something that we don't, right? There were some old CIA documents that got republished that came out like 10 years ago saying that, it turns out anti-parasitic medication kills cancer. It starves it. Alex Jones was talking all about that yesterday. It's because it's popular in the conspiracy realm. Alabama House votes to make human cloning a felony. That's just in Alabama. Where else could this be going on? This could be going on all over the world. NPC playing non-playing clones. Yeah. When you start to think about NPCs, You think of anyone that doesn't know about the MK Ultra takeover. You start to think about our government being saturated with programs instilled by MK Ultra and the Bush administration doing ritual satanic abuse. So they are terrified and they do whatever they're told. And that's what our government's probably filled with. It seems like everyone's filled with yes men, right? Donald Trump said, "Oh, release the Epstein files." And now we've forgotten about the Epstein files and our weather is all messed up. That's not even to get into what's going on with HAARP right now. This just published not too long ago. Canada proposes foods derived from cloned cows and pigs and shall no longer be regulated novel. That's what we've been talking about since we got here. Japan, they're doing clones. India's doing cloned cattle. Everyone wants cloned cattle. It's a lot of beef. Human cloning, well, there's some ethical concerns. What about the ethical concerns about animal cloning? Here to go, France says no to human cloning. On July 9th, after 3 years of deliberation, the French Parliament adopted a bioethics bill authorizing research using human embryos, but banning human cloning. So we're going to just pretend we're not going to do human cloning, but we're going to get the process started to learn how to maybe a little bit clone. We will just kind of clone. We'll bring them to 2 months, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, before the soul goes in the body. Do clones have souls? I don't know. How does that work? But back to this. It says McDonald's Corporation consumes 1.96 million to over 6 million pounds of beef daily worldwide. That's a lot of meat. They utilize, it says, around 2,000 cows per day to meet this demand. Well, 2,000 cows, I'm telling you right now, is times 500. What is 2,000 times 500? I'm trying to find out why people are saying the math doesn't add up. I think people just don't do the math, and they kind of, that's 1 million pounds. So if it's 2,000 pounds per day, so there's a little bit of idea of where does the extra, 2 to 5 million pounds of beef a day come from? Around 2,000. It could be 3,000. One person says the math behind McDonald's doesn't add up. Where is all the beef coming from? U.S. consumes roughly 78 million pounds of beef every day, which would require the slaughter of over 150,000 cows daily, and claims the numbers simply don't add up. Well, they kill about 850,000 cows daily, is from my understanding. And we did the math, ended up to be 155 billion pounds of meat. And it says they have enough cows for that. So either the internet's lying or people just don't know how to do research or really do, basic things. And, of course, I'm going to send a fucking quarter pounder to a lab to get tested to see what kind of DNA is in there. And we're going to end this once and for all. We're going to find out the truth. That's what I want to do. But that moving forward, I wanted to talk a little bit about this story. I think this is equally as important, and that's the idea of HAARP Auroral Research Program. The HAARP Auroral Research Program is basically weather modification on crack. It is the Star Wars, the Death Star, whatever you want to call it, the Star Wars program. HAARP researchers want you to know they're just normal Alaskans doing really cool science. Oh, look at that. He's got the tinfoil hat on, guys. It must be all fake. I knew it this whole time. HAARP's there, and it's for your benefit. It's not there to shoot microwaves of trillion microwaves into the ionosphere to flex the ionosphere outward, sucking all the atmospheric up, and then causing earthquake by sending it back down with vibrations and causing earthquakes or tidal waves. Of course it can, and it can be used for mind control. I had Brooks Agnew on the show more times than I can count. He's the guy from Jesse Ventura's Conspiracy Theory. He's like, yeah, it can control the weather. Let me show you in a small scale. And he built a little cool experiment. And he brought Jesse in and they put it on TV. And of course, HAARP can impact the weather. But how does it control your mind? It's very simple. I want you to think about this just for a second. What is your body mostly made out of? Water. What do microwaves do? They go between water molecules and vibrate, and they heat things up. Using this technology, they can fry you, they can knock you out, they can make you raise your blood pressure, they can nuke you, kind of like what we saw in Venezuela. They can do all sorts of weird things, but this is a giant super weapon, and they have them all over the world. The United States isn't the only one. Russia's like, we're going to put LA into the ocean. I'm like, good. No, I'm just kidding. I don't wish anyone harm, but like Hollywood is like, if Satan had a house, it would be in Hollywood. True story. That's probably where he lives. He's like sipping on margaritas with Jeffrey Epstein and Osama bin Laden and some of the Rothschilds. But what is HAARP? When we break down HAARP, at the end of the day, what is it that it does? And how is it being used? And yeah, there's a lot of cool studies that can be used, but it can also be used as a weapon because then you won't know, or you can't blame it on the United States if all of a sudden there's an earthquake and volcanoes go off. Think about like, what is like Old Faithful, Yellowstone Park. That's a big volcano that could be set off. That might have world implications. Might be years of darkness in the world. Block out the sun. Oh, more Bible prophecy for the people out there. Here it is in the news again. HAARP, other than being tinfoil hat fun. HAARP technology and its role in global conflicts and natural disasters. This is vocal.media. Technology and its role in global conflicts and natural disasters, geopolitical impact of weather modification, and strategic competition between the United States and China. Have you guys noticed how all the seasons are getting here earlier? All of a sudden we had like freezing temperatures in October in Wisconsin and snow, and then freezing in December. It's nice to kind of have a white Christmas, or at least we hoped. But then all of a sudden now it's March and it's like spring weather, which I'm happy about having spring weather. We don't ever have spring in Wisconsin. Something's not right about the weather. It could be the magnetic pole shifts, but it could really be just us fucking with the weather. We're spraying geoengineering, which is Welsbach stratospheric aerosol injections. That's aluminum oxide, and if you know aluminum causes Alzheimer's, that's what they're spraying in the nanoparticles all over the sky. True story. And then when you consume them, we were talking about this on the show, those nanoparticles can create a form of non-invasive brain-computer interface, because then they can form a network. But people just don't understand the science behind it. And we were just talking about this yesterday. It was on the AM Wake Up Show. It says modern warfare is no longer limited to weapons of steel, gunpowder, and nuclear bombs. In the 21st century, technology has expanded the battlefield to domains such as cyberspace, outer space, and even Earth's atmosphere. Among the controversial technologies often discussed in the context of environmental warfare, the strategic manipulation is HAARP, the high-frequency active auroral research program originally developed as a science project in the United States. This is the Star Wars project as a result of the Reagan administration, and I'm wondering if the Bushes were running it the whole time. It's funny that there was like an MK Ultra assassination attempt on Reagan. The guy who shot him didn't remember anything. Isn't that interesting? I wonder how many school shooters don't remember stuff. Are they just MK Ultra assets? Somebody said we all are. What? Some truth to that. HAARP has become the subject of widespread debate, speculation, and conspiracy theories regarding its ability to influence weather patterns. They don't even deny it anymore. They're like, yeah, it can control the weather. Here it is. Influence weather patterns, it can trigger natural disasters. And affect global security. Do you think Donald Trump is like, we're going to have a new world order? Let's get, I've been saying now for a couple of years that conservatives would accept the New World Order as long as it was Donald Trump that led us there. And Thomas Massey's such a bad guy. Don't vote for him. Hell, dude, Thomas Massey's a hero, and so is Rokana. If you don't know who Thomas Massey is, he's the one responsible for the Epstein files. And conservatives right now are calling him fake conservative. You know who's a fake MAGA guy? Everyone that's following Donald Trump right now. He isn't doing anything he promised anymore. He's going complete globalist, and he's going down with the ship. He's giving the Rothschilds what they want here by getting Iran bombed and installing the... Did you guys know Iran doesn't have a Federal Reserve Bank? Let's look this up. Iran Federal Reserve Bank. Is anyone talking about this? No, they have a Central Bank of Iran. It operates independently of the U.S. Federal Reserve. So, there is no Federal Reserve in Iran. Oh, who do you think benefits from that? Oh, the little bitty Rothschilds. The ones in the Epstein files saying that they benefited from Adolf Hitler. Oh, and all that came out because of Donald Trump. So now Donald Trump's doing a little favor for his overlords there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to bomb Iran. We're going to get you set up with that international banking system, right? How much you want to bet that a Federal Reserve pops up overnight as soon as the United States is done doing whatever is done in Iran? And how long will it be before Iran, there's consequences and blowback here, attacks the United States with one of the cells that are probably already here? You could be going to the mall. You could be going to your Green Bay Packers game, because that's the only kind of football game you probably go to. You could be going to a Blackhawks hockey game. You could be going to a Dallas Cowboys game. You could be going to the World Cup. We don't know where these Iranians are going to attack, but I do know that they're burning statues of Baal, which is a slap into the top Israeli government's face, because a lot of them are blamed to be atheistic Zionists, but also satanic Luciferians, right? At the end of the day, that's what the Rothschilds believe. And John Todd said he like the Council 13 that did the occult rituals over their vinyl records and cassette tapes and everything else. They answered to the Rothschilds, who only answered to Lucifer himself. He claims, and they claim to be ancestors of Nimrod. I always wondered if Lucifer is the fallen angel, the main adversary of God, how come he didn't have El in his name? You ever notice all the angels have El, Michael, Raphael? With the exception of Metatron, which I'm doubting that's even his real name. Elohim, the gods. El is Saturn. A lot of people believe for this planet from God's son. That's where you get the number 6 from. And, as you know, they have the cube on the top of Saturn there. And that's where it's believed that they all worship Saturn at the end of the day. But, yeah, so Iran doesn't have a Federal Reserve Bank. So what's going on? How long is it before Trump's like, yeah, let's use HAARP. Let's just nuke Iran, get rid of everybody, put our own puppet government in. We'll have the Federal Reserve, and all of a sudden he's good friends and he's on good terms with the Rothschilds again. I wonder if that's what Iran's really about. Have you guys thought about that? What do you guys think? In the chat, we got some people in the chat. I want to go to the chat, guys. If you guys want to communicate with me, you guys got questions, drop them in the chat. Kristan T. Harris here. Oh, look, we got some people in the chat. We got Katie Cat saying hi. What's up, Katie Cat? Dan Twit is in the chat. Daniel, what's going on, brother? Thank you for tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in. I see there's people on YouTube. We have people on Facebook. We got people on Rumble. We got people on all the platforms right now. And I think these topics are very interesting to a lot of the people right now. I don't believe Jim Carrey is a clone. I don't believe we're eating human meat, but I think it could be a small possibility. And I'm telling you right now, it's probably clone cows. At the end of the day, that's what that is. But Iran, us invading Iran, isn't it convenient that it dropped right at the time the Epstein files kept getting at the height? The Epstein files are like that one song that won't go off the top 40 charts. It's number 1, and then it's 10, and then it goes back to number 1 again, and it's 10, and it goes back to number 1. I don't think the Epstein files are quite going away right now, but I think people need to find even more stuff. There has to be stuff in there that they really don't want us to see if what's going on in Iran is going on right now, because of the fact that we know that they don't have a Federal Reserve Bank. We're going in there for minerals and oil. Oil's they're going to cause and trip a form of killing and falling down of the stock market. That's what we're looking at. We're going to look at some financial ruin. And Donald Trump, I think, is completely okay with it because he's in bed with the Federal Reserve at the end of the day. He's giving them what they want in Iran. And, nobody's being charged for these Epstein trials because no one is held accountable. Katie says Iranian sleeper cells waited to surface as Iran destroys Israel currently. These cells are Mossad CIA assets. What is the religion of Iran? Do you guys know? And I ask this for a certain reason. Because what Donald Trump is leading us into is World War III. And while we're watching our little AI videos and TikTok videos about eating burgers and, where does all the beef come from? And is it human and clones of Jim Carrey and HAARP and all this other bullshit? There's real satanic ritual abuse going on and nobody is really paying attention because they're all captivated by the magic spell that our government and media is putting on. Is anyone in the media talking about Jeffrey Epstein anymore? It seems like it's been purged off the internet. You can't talk about it at all. Albert Pike wrote a letter to Giuseppe Mazzini in 1871. And it's important that you guys know the history of what's going on in the world right now. And I want to break this down for you, and I'm going to put it on the screen. This is also in archive.org. But if you don't know who Albert Pike is, Albert Pike or Giuseppe Mazzini is who took over the Illuminati after Adam Weishaupt died. At the end of the day, that is who was running the Bavarian Illuminati. And I can tell you that, hey, there is no Illuminati and it's fake. It's just a giant conspiracy and no one should really follow into it. Ground Zero says, what's for lunch? It's Bohemian burgers. Made from authentic human meat. It could be. It's like Ben Zion burgers. He was just ahead of the time. Ben Zion burgers made from human cells. Ooh, ah. I want you guys to see this. So this is a real letter that was in the library or the museum in Britain. It was seen there. It was pulled in the 1970s, I believe. And we're going to go ahead. Albert Pike in the Three World Wars. Very few outsiders know about the intimate plans of Albert Pike and the architects of the New World Order. Based on a vision revealed to him, and by the way, Albert Pike wrote his book, Morals and Dogma, using something called automatic hand. That's where you conjure a demon or astral project. It comes in your body and you write a whole damn book. That's how Helena Blavatsky wrote her books. That's how Albert Pike wrote his books. And that's how he developed Morals and Dogma, which helped a basic low-level Freemason raise to the ranks of 33rd degree enlightenment. On page 744, it says everything comes from the Kabbalah in Freemasonry and that of the Illuminati. Because after Mazzini died, Albert Pike took over the Illuminati. In the 19th century, Albert Pike established a framework for bringing about the New World Order based on a vision revealed to him. Albert Pike wrote a blueprint of events that would play themselves out in the 20th century, and even more of these events yet to come. It is the blueprint which we believe unseen leaders are following today, knowingly or not, to engineer a planned third and final war. Albert Pike was born on December 29th in 1809 in Boston. He was a Confederate general, and he was the most honorary member of the Scottish Rite. He's the only Confederate general to have an honorary monument in Washington, D.C. To show his importance to Freemasonry, they had his body exhumed and an honorary burial was given to him at the most prominent Masonic temple in America. Adam Weishaupt, who was around from 1748 to 1811, formed the Order of Perfectionalists, which is the original name of the Illuminati, on May 1st, 1776. Now you know the true meaning of May Day. and Labor Day, which later became known as the Illuminati, a secret society whose name means enlightened ones. Although the order was founded to provide an opportunity for the free exchange of ideas, Weishaupt's background as a Jesuit seems to have influenced the actual character of the society, such that the express aim order became to abolish Christianity and overturn all civil governments. The Jesuits rejected Adam Weishaupt, by the way. That's why he used the pyramid and all-seeing eye. An Italian revolutionary leader, Giuseppe Mazzini, from 1805 to 1872, a 33rd-degree Freemason, was selected by the Illuminati to head their worldwide operations in 1834. Mazzini also funded the Mafia back in 1860, now linking what the Illuminati and Mafia really was. The Mafia, the bloodletting organization, came from the Masonic lodges of the Illuminati. And their whole idea was to combat the Vatican. Little Italy movement, right? Because of Mazzini's revolutionary activities in Europe, the Bavarian government cracked down on the Illuminati and other secret societies for allegedly plotting a massive overthrow of Europe's monarchies, and the secrets of the Illuminati were revealed. During his leadership, Mazzini enticed Albert Pike into the now formally disbanded but still operating Illuminati. Of course, the original Illuminati is disbanded in Bavaria, but they had lodges all over the world. Italy, France, Germany. Oh, Germany, they knocked them out, but Portugal, the United States, probably all over the world. Thomas Jefferson called Adam Weishaupt a utopian in the guise of William Godfrey. But let's dive into the 3 world wars. Following our extracts of a letter showing 3 world wars that Albert Pike planned out. So I want you to think about the First World War. The First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the powers of czars in Russia and of making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. Oh, the League of the Just. You ever hear the Bund Society? They're the original Communist Party. They paid Karl Marx to take Adam Weishaupt's Communist Manifesto and polish up the turd and call it the Communist Manifesto. Illuminati Manifesto became Communist Manifesto. He didn't originate the book. That can be found in a book called Eliminate the Opiate by a Jewish rabbi, Marvin Attelman. It talks about the history. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments in order to weaken the religions, right? Because that's what, communism did. It made a state-run religion. Okay. And that was what happened in World War I. The Second World War, by the way, this was written in 1871. This is before Adolf Hitler was around. And there was a World War I. The Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between fascist and political Zionists. Oh. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel and Palestine. During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for the final social catechism. And after the Second World War, communism was made strong enough to begin taking over weaker governments. In 1945, at the Potsdam Conference between Truman, Churchill, and Stalin, a large portion of Europe was simply handed over to Russia. And on the other side of the world, the aftermath of the world with Japan helped to sweep the tide of communism into China. And what is China today? So that brings us to where we are all heading. And that's the Third World War. But what is the Third World War about? Well, right now, what do we have in the news? We have satanic Luciferianism. We got cannibalism with the Epstein files, a jerky, if you believe such bullshit. You got drinking of babies and satanic ritual abuse, which MK Ultra survivors, which I've been interviewing for the last 2 weeks, have been talking about. But who believes in Lucifer, right? The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the agentur of the Illuminati, between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. Oh, what do we got going on? Israel, the Zionists are going after Iran of the Islamic world. They're going to establish their New World Order. This is another step in that direction. They're going to establish their Illuminati banking system. And if you don't understand how the Illuminati is related to the banking system, it happened in the 1700s when the Knights Templars were disenfranchised by the Masons and only given strict observance rights. And Weishaupt got money from the Rothschilds and bought them all up, thousands of those memories, installed new lodges. And so the bankers that were the Illuminati, the bankers that were Knights Templar, some of them became Illuminati. And who are the banking families? Oh, the Epsteins. Bet you didn't know that. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and the political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. So the end goal is Iran and Israel destroy each other. Why? Because they need to rebuild the damn temple. Meanwhile, the other nations, and once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We're all going to go broke. What are they talking about? Stock market woes. We shall unleash the nihilists on the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations that the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and the most bloody turmoil, then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of the civilization. And the multitude delusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer. Brought finally out to the public view, this is the manifestation which will result in the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. And this way, Lucifer can show his ugly face. They can get that clone body we've been talking about, implant cyber Jesus or cyber Satan, and we'll have AI run the world as a super deity. I want you to think about what we just talked about. That is the plan. So how do you prepare? Build your communities. Buy silver and gold. I don't know if Bitcoin's going to save anyone during this. We got Katie in the chat says, very good article on Pike. That's one of many. I have some of his books. You should read his books because if you want to know what the New World Order is doing, you need to study it every day. You can't be just an echo chamber. You need to send the fucking burgers out to find out if there's human meat in them or not and prove it wrong. You got to take it. We can sit here and be armchair quarterbacks all day, but be a real investigative journalist. If you're going to say, oh, I'm a reporter, I'm a journalist, while you're sitting there just reporting what other people's bullshit is all the time and not actually doing any work, you're just an echo chamber. Yeah, it's a cool talk radio show. You guys can learn something from the Rundown Live, but at the end of the day, it's you guys that make the difference. Albert Pike, interesting individual. This is the truth behind the Illuminati. Have you guys ever seen my mini documentary I put out on the Illuminati? I don't know if I put it out there. I know that Jeffrey Epstein was talking about the Illuminati. Here he is. I just got to prove it to you.
What do I mean? He formed something called the Trilateral Commission. The Trilateral Commission is some spooky stuff. People said it was some of the people that the Illuminati.
That's Jeffrey Epstein just being like, oh, yeah, the Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, Illuminati. So he looked it up, and that's why you have all the Illuminati stuff in the Epstein files. You didn't look Illuminati up in Epstein files? The first damn thing I did, other than looking for that one article that went viral about the guy in 4chan saying he was working at the prison when they wheelchaired Epstein out, you know. So I want to show you guys, as a last part of the segment of this broadcast, I want to show you guys the Illuminati. we're going to go ahead and play the Illuminati documentary I put together for you guys. You guys, if you guys have the ability to support me, drop a super chat. You could send me, $5-10 and buy me a coffee, or send cash directly. We are 100% listener funded. Here it is. Check this out. This is some commercials by Brumble. I apologize. This is a documentary on the Illuminati.
The Bavarian Illuminati was founded by Jesuit priest Adam Weishaupt in the year 1776 with the funding of the House of Rothschild. The following year, Weishaupt was initiated as a Freemason at Die Lage Theater vom Guten Rat in Munich. He soon realized the potential of the Masonic lodges as recruiting grounds for his own secret society, and directed members of the order to begin illuminating Freemasonic lodges throughout Germany and later Europe. After the dissolution, the Masonic rites of strict observance at the 1782 Masonic Congress of Wilmsbad, Weishaupt and Baron von Knigge were surely able to snatch up old strict observance members and increased membership in the Bavarian Illuminati to around 3,000 members. The Illuminati soon had illuminated lodges in France, Italy, Sweden, Belgium, Holland, Denmark, Poland, and Hungary. This is when Adam Weishaupt constructed one of the most sinister plans in history. The 7-part plan called for the abolition of all order governments, abolition of private property, abolition of inheritance, abolition of patriotism, abolition of the family, abolition of religion, and creation of a new world order. We have all this information because in 1785, an Illuminati courier named Lanza was struck by lightning and killed while traveling by horseback through the town of Ratisbon. When Bavarian officials examined the contents of his saddlebags, they discovered the existence of the Order of the Illuminati and found the plans detailing the coming French Revolution. The Bavarian government attempted to alert the government of France of the impending disaster, but the French government failed to heed this warning. Bavarian officials arrested all members of the Illuminati they could find, but Weishaupt and others had gone underground and could not be found. Former Illuminati member John Robison, professor of natural history at Edinburgh University in Scotland, published a book entitled Proofs of a Conspiracy, in which he reveals that Adam Weishaupt had attempted to recruit him and many others in his diabolical aims to control the world under the Illuminati. In the year 1800, in a letter to the Reverend James Madison, Thomas Jefferson dismisses the anti-Illuminati conspiracy theories and paints Weishaupt as a utopian idealist in the tradition of William Godwin. Later that year, Thomas Jefferson was elected President of the United States. In the 1820s, Mayor Amschel Rothschild financed the Bavarian Illuminati and expressed his utter contempt for national governments which attempted to regulate international bankers such as him. Quote, "Allow me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who writes the laws." End quote. After the death of Adam Weishaupt in 1830, the Illuminati began looking for another central leader who was also a Masonic occultist, just like them. Alleged 33rd degree Freemason Giuseppe Mazzini fit the bill. After showing off his ability and strength to wrestle Italy away from the unholy Roman Empire and basically hand it over to the Illuminati, Mazzini founded a group of revolutionaries called Young Italy in 1831, 1 year after Adam Weishaupt's death. Their goal was to free Italy from the control of monarchy and the Pope. They succeeded, and Mazzini was honored as a patriot in Italy. However, in the process of liberating Italy, the bloodletting organization known as the Mafia was born. This shows the ties between the Mafia and the Illuminati. Mazzini was selected by the Illuminati to lead their organization and took the reins of their worldwide operations beginning in 1834. During his leadership, Mazzini enticed an American occultist and Freemason named Albert Pike into joining the upper echelon of the Illuminati. When invited by Mazzini, he readily agreed to join. Pike was then made head of the Illuminati operations in the United States. Mazzini could sense an extra powerful occult nature about Pike and tasked him to write an occultic book that guided the transition from average high-ranking Mason into top-ranking Illuminati Mason, that of the 33rd degree. Pike then penned what is considered the modern-day Freemasonic Bible called Morals and Dogma. This book was used by the Illuminati as a Pied Piper to bring Freemasonic lodges in the United States under their control, where before the Illuminati had operated mainly out of the Columbia Lodge. Albert Pike is known for a few other things as well. He is a Confederate general and a founding member of the KKK, but I also think it's pretty odd that Albert Pike is the only Confederate general with an honorary statue on federal property in Washington, D.C. But he was not honored for being a commander or even as a lawyer, but for being the southern regional leader of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. The statue stands on a pedestal near the foot of the Capitol Hill between the Department of Labor building and the Municipal building between 3rd and 4th Streets on D Street Northwest. Pike was Grand Master of a Luciferian group known as the Order of Palladium Sovereign Council of Wisdom, which had been founded in Paris in 1737. Palladism had been brought into the Great Plan from Egypt by Pythagoras in the 5th century BC, and it was the cult of Satan that was introduced in the inner circles of the Masonic lodges in the early 1800s. You can follow the existence of the Illuminati through the 1800s and early 1900s through the Library of Congress. Just go to the Library of Congress website and search Illuminati, and it'll bring up hundreds of old newspapers where you can follow the timeline of their recruitment centers through Masonic lodges and other organizations. In 1967, Jewish broadcaster Myron C. Fagan described with documentary evidence how the Illuminati became the instrument of the House of Rothschild to achieve a one-world government, and how every war during the past 2 centuries was fomented by this Illuminati. He describes how one Jacob H. Schiff was sent to the United States by the Rothschilds to further the Illuminati plot, and how Schiff plotted to get control of both the Democrat and Republican parties. How Schiff seduced our Congress and our presidents to achieve control of our entire money system and create the income tax cancer, and how Schiff and his co-conspirators created the Council of Foreign Relations to control our elected officials to gradually drive the U.S. into becoming an enslaved unit of the United Nations one world government. This is Kriston T. Harris with the Run.
Human meat in McDonald's burgers. I'm a former McDonald's corporate chef. And for whatever reason, a previous post that I made talking about what's in McDonald's beef, a bunch of you are still commenting that there's human DNA. For sure, human DNA, human meat in McDonald's beef patties. So what you're going to do, all right, you got to go buy yourself some McDonald's burgers. You don't believe me, so nothing I do or say is going to convince you, so you're going to have to do work. Try to buy that burger. You're going to cut it in half. You need to retain half of that. Take half of that, put it in a Ziploc bag, put it in your freezer or whatever. You're going to take the other half, and you're going to search in your area any food testing labs that are in your area. There used to be one here called Silicur. I think it's called Mirio whatever. You can send that meat in and have them test it for human DNA. If the results come back positive, then you get to sue the pants off of McDonald's. So anyone in the comments that says, yes, there's human DNA in McDonald's beef patties, your next step is to go get meat, go get it tested, and get the answer. If you're not going to do that, then you could just...
Do you come to Milwaukee often?
Actually, it's pronounced Milwaukee, which is Algonquin for the good land.